Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is a bonus episode of Online Marketing Moves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 0 dark 30, okay? It is very dark outside. Right now, this podcast, this bonus episode is about passion. Now, as I've told you before on this podcast, I used to be a big time wrestling fan. And one thing that set the great wrestlers above the middle tier or bottom wrestlers, don't get me wrong, most of them, they could do the moves, they could do this, they could do that. That's great. But you really don't watch professional wrestling to see a fight. If you want to see a actual fight, you would go watch boxing or you would watch something else. Pro wrestling is about afflicting emotion into the crowd, and making it feel like this is really how you feel, and that is the difference between the greats and the average people, okay? And I was watching one of the best promos of all time is by the great late Dusty Rhodes. If you've never ever seen it, just look up Hard Times by Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty Rhodes, for the next 3 or 4 minutes, he talks about, he gets down with the people. He says they tried to take him out, but they couldn't take him out. They tried to give him hard times. He talked about textile workers. He talked about this, talked about that. This promo was in like 1985, so he's talking about how they give you a watch after 30 years of working, and then they give you the boot. And he had a lot of passion. He had a lot of emotion going on, And even when I watch it today, I'm like, yeah, get him, Dusty, Like, you still have that feeling. And so sometimes, whenever you are doing videos or doing podcasts, you want to try to let the people know that you are passionate about what you're doing. You are, passionate about this topic, this whole, just being with the people. You don't want to always sound like if you sound like you're a hostage victim, then you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get very far when it comes to, gathering a following. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to sound like, hey, it's me. I'm here. I hope you here too, I mean, sometimes we all go through the little highs and lows of, life. But when you step up to the video, when you step up to the microphone, whatever you do to create content, even the writing, people, you can tell when somebody's very passionate about what they're doing. You want to inflict that, like when I used to. When we go back to the wrestling, when I watched the wrestling, 1997, I would hear some glass break, and then you would see Stone Cold Steve Austin walking out, and before he even hit the ring, you could see the intensity, you could see his head moving, his head bobbing, little things like that. It's like, all right, Stone Cold, he's ready to kick butt. So I'm with Stone Cold, and I'm ready to kick some butt too. Okay, so this is something that you want to keep in mind whenever you start doing podcasts or videos. I'm not saying you have to be like, rah, 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 6 Moon Mile, but you definitely want to let people know that you definitely have to come across as, genuine, but at the same time, you definitely want to instill, because if you do get emotional, if you do get passionate about something, let people know, like, hey, this is a topic that I really want to talk to you about. This is something that I really want to drive home, emphasize that, sometimes you have to, sometimes it's better if you let yourself get into the situation. I know everybody wants to be controlled and everybody wants to be, nothing bothers me or whatever, but if something's bothering you, something's getting to you, something's aggravating, if it's something you want to drive home a point, then show that, every now and then it's okay to open up. My wife told me one time, she said, when I first started the podcast, that's one thing she said. She said, "Are you gonna be open?" And I was like, "What do you mean, open? I'm always open." She's like, yeah, okay." I'm like, I was like, I will be very well, my wife likes to use the word authentic. She's like, "Are you gonna be authentic?" I'm like, "Of course. I'll let the people know what's going on, what's happening. I will reach out and be as authentic as I can." So, I mean, I have days where I'm very passionate about certain topics, and some days I'm like, we have to talk about this, but I might not be as. But you have to bring the same level of enthusiasm about everything. You can't, if it's one thing that you're excited about, and the next thing you're like, you still have to come with the same kind of enthusiasm for everything, because it's all learning. The more you learn, the better off you are. So, and even though you might be the host of your own show, you creating your own content, you can always learn why you are creating the content. All right, so keep that in mind. But anyway, I just wanted to make this quick podcast because I thought about that. I watched 3 or 4 I watched 3 or 4 wrestling promos just last night, and while I was sitting around waiting, and I thought, you know what? This is why these guys are the greats, because it inflicts, it makes you excited to be watching them. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of level you want to get to. You want, like, whenever you say, "Hey, I got I know right now, I come out with a bonus episode," you're probably like, okay. But years from now, as we grow into this business and as we grow into this podcast family, when I drop a bonus episode, you'll be like, "Oh man, this is great." That's the kind of enthusiasm that I want to inflict on people, and that is why we are doing these bonus episodes, because it helps. It helps me. It helps you. We help each other when we do a bonus episode, because you never know you never know what little thing you can get from these podcasts that will take you to another level. All right. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode of the podcast. We'll be back later on today with episode, I believe it's 219 or 220, one of the two. But everybody, I probably will say this every day from now on, because it needs to be said. But tell a friend to tell a friend. Share the podcast as much as possible. Let the people know this is the best podcast in three galaxies. Okay? And we'll be back. We'll be back to this afternoon with another podcast. But until then, I'm Tony Rizzano. Hope you enjoy this episode. And remember, everybody, bring that passion, okay? So that's it. Goodbye. Good morning. Good night. Good evening. Whenever you listen to this. And we'll talk to you later. And as always, everybody, peace.